the mysterious death of 19-year-old Stephen Smith. So Smith was found dead on a Hampton County, South Carolina road back in 2015. And his death was initially ruled as a hit and run. There was no vehicle debris, no skid marks on the roadway, or any injuries consistent with him being actually hit by a vehicle. Many people were led to believe that something more nefarious happened to young Stephen Smith that day. Now, 8 years after he was killed, Stephen Smith's death has been officially characterized as a murder. Litigation firm Bland and Richter, who represents Stephen Smith's family, posted this major update to their Twitter account and to their website, saying, quote, "Breaking news, SLED considers Stephen Smith's death a homicide. We're committed to finding out what really happened and getting the peace and justice the Smith family deserves." Now, this update comes just days after Buster Murdaugh addressed the rumors and the speculation being told in docuseries and articles claiming that he was involved with Stephen Smith in a sexual romantic relationship and that he could potentially have had something to do with his death. All rumors, of course, all speculation. Well, Buster spoke out and responded in part saying, quote, "This has gone on far too long. These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false." The statement goes on to further deny any involvement in Stephen's death and ask the media to stop publishing rumors about him. Now, I want to be clear here. Buster has never been officially named a suspect. He has never been charged in the case. And according to Stephen Smith's mom, the Murdaughs have been heavily involved in the case since the beginning. Take a listen to some of what she told us.
His body from the road, and that was about 9:30. I seen me and my daughter and my son, Chris, seen Alex and Randy Murdaugh at the scene. When Joel was at the sheriff's department, him and Stephanie were at the sheriff's department, I was on the phone with Joel, and Joel said, "Hold on, Randy Murdaugh's calling." And so he said, that was strange. And I said, "What was it?" He said, "Randy Murdaugh called and wants to help with Stephen's investigation."
I want to bring in now a very special guest. He's joining us from Columbia, South Carolina, where he practices law. He is the attorney representing the family of Stephen Smith, Eric Bland, back on the show. Eric, very good to see you. And first question, just how are you doing? You're recovering from a surgery. For those who may not have seen, I know you've made some posts on Twitter. How are you feeling this morning?
Good morning, Julie. Thank you for having me on. I had knee replacement surgery a week ago, and I've had a couple complications, but I'm happy to be here and happy to be alive. And yesterday was a really great day for the Smith family. You know, this mother has fought basically a fight alone for 8 years because she knew that her son was not killed by a vehicle. She knew that there was a homicide that took place, and she was screaming and screaming. She didn't think anybody was listening, but the state of South Carolina was listening. I received an extraordinary phone call from Chief Keel yesterday afternoon, who told me that it's the state's official position.
It's Chief Keel, he's the chief of SLED, right, Eric? He's the chief of SLED, Mark Keel.
Yeah, sorry, yes. Chief of SLED. Yes. He did not die as a result of a vehicle manslaughter homicide, and that is huge. He also offered the manpower now to this case that was originally diverted over to the Murdaugh murder case. He's committed to partnering with us in the exhumation of Stephen's body to determine the cause of death, and he's going to send his experts along with our experts to have the forensic analysis done. He believes that there's people that are should be willing to talk now that Alex has been convicted of murder, and that there's a small group of people that have knowledge about what happened. And it's very encouraging.
Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, this is really, really big. And tell me, Eric, when you were talking with Chief Mark Keel, the chief of SLED, did he use the word murder in his conversation with you?
No, he said that it was clearly an intentional killing. He used the word homicide. Mm-hmm. He said that it was the cause of death was not as indicated on the death certificate or by the pathologist, which is extraordinary. It's essentially stating that, you know, a governmental official for 7 years had just got it wrong on the death certificate. And I don't know if you know, but at the time there was a high conflict between Highway Patrol and SLED and the pathologist as to the cause of death. Everybody realized exactly what you said in the intro. You know, there were no skid marks. There were no debris from the car. There was no markings on Stephen showing he was hit by a bumper of a car. All the things that would indicate that somebody was hit by an automobile on a road. Everything that existed at the time of death showed that Stephen was killed somewhere else. Julie, his shoes were loosely tied and they were not blown off. Now, you can imagine on a country road, if somebody's driving 40, 50, 60 miles an hour and you're struck by an automobile, you're going to have your shoes blown off. There's going to be other debris. Clothes are going to be ripped. There were very little abrasions on his body. It defies credulity.
Sure. And tell us more, please, Eric, about the initial autopsy results, because my understanding is that there might have been some blunt force trauma to Stephen Smith's head, seeming that perhaps he was beaten to death and perhaps his body was just dumped in the middle of the roadway, making sense of why there are no other indications that this was, you know, some type of a vehicular homicide.
Yeah, correct. Initially, they thought it was a gunshot wound. They did a GSR test, a gunshot residue test, to determine, you know, was he shot? There was no, obviously, gunpowder or anything like that. And there was some blue flaking on the back of his head, which we believe may indicate it was a baseball bat. It's easy to have matched that up with and determine if it's a metallic car paint or whatever. It was not car paint. Yes, he bled on the road. If you see some of the autopsy pictures, they haven't been released, but he did bleed on the road. But that's often what happens with a closed head injury when the person is finally rested. The other thing is, you know, was he put in the middle of the road so that another car would run over him? Or was he actually hit again by another car? All these things have to be determined.
Sure.
But just to have the state come out finally for this mother and say, your son was killed intentionally by human hands.
This is big news, as you know, Eric. And for the Smith family, our hearts go out to them. Most certainly people all around the country, really the world, have become interested in this case because it is so mysterious, and perhaps something very nefarious did happen to Stephen Smith. That being said, now I know that your family has chosen to represent the Smith family, not taking any money for the representation and leading the charge on an independent investigation. Stephen Smith's body is set to be exhumed. How is this going to go now with SLED saying, okay, look, we believe somebody intentionally killed him? Are they going to be participating in the exhumation? What's going to be the process, if you know, please, Eric?
Yeah, Julie. Chief Keel originally said, look, we don't think you have to exhume the body. We agree with you that he was killed by human hands and it was a homicide. We believe we do, because we want to change that death certificate from being a vehicular homicide to being killed somewhere else, and it'd be a murder charge. So we believe the pathologist report has to be changed, and it can only be done if there is a finding by credentialed experts. And Chief Keel understood and said, we will be with you. We want to protect, meaning the Smith family wants to protect the chain of evidence, because we want the state ultimately to prosecute whoever is responsible for this. You know, right now we were trying to find out what happened. Well, now we know that at least the state views it as a murder, but we still have to find out how it happened. And then once we find out how it happened, we have to find out who did it. So the state has agreed to share information with us, and we've always said in my first press conference, everything we obtain, we will be transparent. We are transparent with the money that was raised on the GoFundMe campaign, and we're going to be transparent with any piece of evidence that we obtain, because we think it's important ultimately, because it's going to be the state that's going to have to prosecute who's ever responsible for this unfortunate crime.
Yes, and to that point, Eric, I wanted to ask you about that, please, the GoFundMe. You know, Sandy Smith, you know, this heartbroken mother, you know, has resorted to that, you know, prior to this big news of the change in the characterization of how Stephen Smith was killed. And so she was, you know, seeking the public's help. That GoFundMe was very successful. I believe around $80,000 or upwards of that was raised. What happens now with that money? Because really, if this is, you know, a state investigation, this should be state funds being paid out to do you know, the second autopsy or whatever other investigatory work needs done.
These funds are going directly into our experts. We have hired in the process of hiring our own forensic pathologists, our own investigators. We are going to, as we committed to the GoFundMe campaign, doing a parallel investigation. Look, in the Satterfield case, in Gloria Satterfield, I and my partner, Ronnie Richter, provided all of the evidence to the state that we had obtained in early September 2021, which led to Alex being charged for Gloria Satterfield's $4.3 million theft. There's no reason why private citizens can't parallel do their own work and provide information. And so that is why we raised the money. And all this money is going to go into this investigation. It's not going to Sandy Smith. You won't see her house get painted. This is a woman that works at a school. She doesn't even have the internet. And, you know, she didn't have the resources to do what we're able to do now. I was always willing to give my time, but you know, Julie, the cost of this type of exhumation, and the body's going to have to be transported to another state because that is the expert that we've chosen. The costs are extraordinary. Can you tell us who is going to be doing the second autopsy? No, I can't, other than I think it's going to be somebody from New York City. We've hired Dr. Dupree from Columbia, South Carolina, who's going to help us in the process. There's going to be 2 or 3 forensic pathologists that we're going to have there, so that there's no dispute, and the state's going to be there at the exact same time, so the chain of custody of evidence will be preserved. Right. That's certainly key, as you know. Attorney Eric Bland, always great to talk with you. I know we're going to be talking more and more as the weeks and months go on. Every good wish to you in your recovery, and certainly to the Smith family in their quest for justice. Thank you kindly. I always like appearing on your show. You're kind, and you're thoughtful, and you're well informed. Thank you so much. Well, that means a lot coming from you. Speak soon, Eric.